I am Susan with you today, and I have just an amazing, I cannot say amazing enough, woman with us today, Heather Quisel, and she is an entrepreneur. She is a speaker. She's a trainer, and she has helped thousands upon thousands of women to get focus, to build confidence, and to just get that mindset game in check to live a bigger, full out life. So I am just so excited that I can share her wisdom and her expertise with you. And so, Heather, if we could start out, just share with our audience a little bit where you were, what space you were in when you came into business ownership.
Yes. And thank you so much for having me, Susan. It's so fun to share this space with you and just with your energy. So appreciate this platform and opportunity. And, I jumped into business ownership. It was 8 years ago now. I have a teaching background. I taught preschool kids for 10 years. I also have 3 kids of my own. And business ownership was something that I was never around growing up. My dad and my mom were both teachers in the high school setting. My grandma was a teacher. My stepmom was a nurse. Like for us, it was go to college, get good grades, get a job with steady wage and health benefits. That's what I knew. And this word entrepreneur, I'd never even heard it, let alone knew how to spell it. But I was at the time when I was, introduced to this, I was staying at home with my 3 kids, trying to figure out what do I do with my life if I'm not defined by being a teacher. Mm-hmm. And that was a challenge. And how do I fill my days? How do I fill my mind? How do I fill just my own tank as a stay-at-home mom with this drive to be challenged and to impact other people? So I was actually kind of floundering because I wasn't being fulfilled in that way. I joke a lot, Susan, that when I jumped into business for the first time, I was making my own laundry soap, hanging my clothes on the line, doing anything to make this homemaker job more challenging. And I'd been reading and writing a blog at the time. And that's when I really started noticing, Susan, that women were making money very differently than how I had been taught to make it. I was watching these women, on DIY blogs and mommy blogs that were making money just writing about their day, just writing about fun finds at the flea market, and they were making incomes. And that was something that caught my eye, and I started to just be looking for ways that I could do something like that. Mm-hmm. And I was introduced to network marketing, and the blogging for me, I was trying to blog and make money. That wasn't going anywhere really fast. Mm-hmm. And I had considered opening my own Etsy shop, but that was a lot of work for pennies.
Right.
And so network marketing was introduced to me. And I think like most people, I was like, this is not what I meant by making money at home. Mm-hmm. Yet when I kept looking at it, because I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't actually thinking about anything but this concept, it really had everything I wanted. It had a challenge. I knew nothing about sales. I knew nothing about business. I really didn't even know if I had the tools to do it. I'd never been on social media. I'm a shy introvert by nature. So I was looking at this going, well, if I want a challenge, here's the challenge, right?
Right.
And it was my husband said, because one night I was like, I just don't know. I don't know if I can do this. I don't think I'm the right girl for this. What am I thinking? And he was like, you're never going to know unless you try it.
Very true.
And what's the worst thing that can happen? You jump in and decide you don't like it. He said, but at the end of the day, at least you gave it a try. He goes, people people start new jobs all the time
Mm-hmm.
and then quit because it wasn't the right fit. He said, you just have to look at this no different. So that's when I jumped in and I became a business owner that day.
So I would think it's a scary thing to jump in. It's an unknown. You come outside of this safety net of the traditional job. What fears did you come into this business with? And then on the other side, here you are, this amazingly successful entrepreneur. You run a multi-million-dollar team. Where do you look now? Do you face any fears on the other side of success?
So let me start with like when I first jumped in, I mean, the fears were rampant. And I feel like if you're not afraid, then it's not that important.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, I'm not afraid to take my trash out in the morning, like that doesn't create fear. What are people going to think when they see me holding this garbage? I don't have that, but I had many fears walking into this. And I used to believe that when you have fears, that must be like, it's not the right path. You shouldn't be doing it. I used to have this strange belief that something that I wanted, a goal that I was working on, should kind of feel effortless. Mm-hmm. And what I've learned is that's really couldn't be farther from the truth.
Right.
Since then, I've learned that if I feel intense fear, it's probably exactly what I should do to grow myself, to stretch, to, open the doors to more opportunities, experiences, and things like that. So the fears were huge. And yet my drive to achieve, my drive to prove, more importantly to myself, that I could do it way outweighed the fears. So the fears didn't get the best of me. Now, I will say, a couple years ago, I had I ended up being quite successful with that network marketing company. I worked dang hard to do it too. And as with most network marketing companies, when you build it, when you create it, you create not only an abundance of income, but freedom of time. Mm-hmm. So I was feeling, we had this abundance of income, and I had a lot more time on my hands than I'd ever had before. My kids were older, they were in school. And so it's like, well, what are you going to do with your time? Right? What are you going to fill that with? And so I thought, well, I'll just start another business.
Why not?
I'm just going to start another business. Like, that one went well and it was crazy successful. I'm just going to do it again. And that, like, I got a huge awakening that time around. Kind of like a 2x4 to the face kind of awakening. Because I put up a website and I had my cute little logo and everything looked really pretty. And I was like, cool, like I opened this coaching program and it's just going to be successful because I was really good at this other thing, right? No, because nobody knows that you have a website unless you introduce them to that. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have a way to introduce that. It wasn't, I thought starting network marketing was a real challenge. But in actuality, they make it so easy for people. Right. You've got all the marketing, you've got the customer support line already built in for you. They're taking care of the accounting. And I mean, they make it so easy. All the materials are right there. You just have to like post on Facebook, show up, in life and share and boom. Well, mm-hmm. When you like open your own thing, you got to create all that stuff. So that was a rude awakening. So when I really started to run into fear, the kind of fear that really did hold me back for a long time, it was kind of on this concept of fully owning a business, right? Fully putting myself out there and being like, if it fails, it is fully on me. And I think because I had the success in the other thing, Susan, I was more afraid of failure because I felt like I had more to lose. Mm-hmm. When I was a stay-at-home mom, just hanging my own laundry, I didn't have much to lose. I didn't have a reputation to ruin. So I was like fearlessly talking to people. Well, now I had this sense of accomplishments, this sense of people watching me. Well, then it got more scary. Then live video presents itself, and that's a tool. But man, that was frightful. And what happens if I actually share what I really think, and are people going to resonate with that? Or am I going to get criticized? Which the answer is yes, you're going to be criticized no matter what you do. So I think that, the success of my second business, which we're having a lot of fun at this point, it's affecting people, it's getting results, it's growing, I enjoy it. I maybe coulda, shoulda, woulda been successful earlier in it. But of course, shoulda, coulda, woulda was not my path. But it just took me a lot longer to process and overcome those fears of putting myself out there.
Well, you and I have had this conversation that you are exactly where God wants you to be. You are impacting lives, including mine. So I am just so thankful and so grateful that I was introduced to you. Such a blessing. But let me ask you, you talked about being an introvert. You have such confidence. You are so about overcoming, everything that's going on between your ears, because that is just such a battle for so many, especially women. And walk us through what it looks like to go from introvert, where I remember you said you didn't even make eye contact with adults. You did better with your preschoolers. How do you go from that to having built this business, speaking in front of thousands of people, and quite honestly, doing what we're doing? Because this was out of my comfort zone too, big time. So how do you get there?
I think it's two things. And firstly, I think I've always had, my confidence comes from a trust and a belief that I'm working for something much bigger than me. So if I were just relying on myself and look at me and look at what I can do, I'm wildly insecure, the way I look, the way I talk, just like any woman, right? What I believe in. But my confidence has always been in the fact that I truly believe I am the working body of something bigger than me. And I've got a mission. I got stuff to do. We got things to do for other people. And so that allows me to just show up, I think the other part of this too is so many people haven't discovered or haven't allowed themselves to work from their strengths. I talk about this a lot. I'm really good at a handful of things. But there's a million things that you could put yourself into, that you could work on, that you could, but those million things I'm actually kind of sucky at. And so if I were working, let's say in a laboratory, I'm science, numbers, my brain doesn't comprehend them. If I had to get up on stage and give some technically articulate speech, I would be on a floor in paralyzation and fear, doubt, insecurity, because it's not my jam. But I've been blessed and also worked very hard to discover the things that I'm meant to do. And again, this goes back to if I'm here on a mission for a higher being, a higher power, well, there's certain things I'm supposed to spread into the world. My message, my mission, right? The skills, the sharing of what I know, what I've experienced. And so when you operate out of your strengths, and this is for anybody, and I teach this heavily because it's so important, but when you're operating out of your strengths, you're intrinsically going to be confident because you're good at it. When you go to the hospital to, be fixed up by the doctor knows you came to him because he knows what he's doing. He knows that you have faith in his in his abilities, right? And he knows that he's really good at it. Well, you can take that very skilled doctor and put him in a mechanic's workshop, and now all of a sudden somebody comes to him and wants him to diagnose their car, and he's like, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's when we really work from that space, and I think and really believe that there's a bigger purpose for all of this. That's where it all comes from for me.
So what I'm hearing from you is it's so important for us to figure out our strengths, like you said, our zone of genius. And when we're able to do that, we really have a responsibility to share that with others, because somewhere out there, someone is waiting for us to share.
Oh, like goosebumps. Absolutely. And, network marketing, within network marketing, when I got it, what I'm so grateful for more than anything when it comes to network marketing is it highlighted for me what I'm really good at. In preschool, like I'm really good with 4-year-old boys. I mean, no lie. But network marketing, totally different thing. Like it's not just 4-year-old boys. I'm really good at teaching. I'm really good at articulating the world in bigger ways in which people can understand. I'm willing to show up and share that message no matter what. And when you come to understand your strengths, I do think there's a pivotal moment on a spiritual level in which that understanding becomes a responsibility. It becomes a responsibility. And I take that very seriously. Like I take my role in this life, in this space very seriously, because, if I wouldn't believe this, Susan, if I didn't believe that my role was important in the ecosystem of our planet, if I didn't believe that there was a higher power at work, well, why would I get up in the morning?
Right.
I don't understand a life in which you wake up and don't feel that what you're about to do today impacts other people. And I want that. And I thrive on that. And so many people want that. They just haven't found it yet. And I really think that fulfillment, we always talk about, like, I'm just missing the fulfillment, right? That passion, that whatever, that fulfillment. Fulfillment is like when you're really good at something. You get to do it. And you make money doing it. Business. That's fulfillment. Like, in other words, business, making money at it means that other people recognize the genius in you and they want to make that exchange.
Right.
Right? And the money is just the exchange. I give you this, you give me that. So that's where that fulfillment is. And I really believe that is what creates, that's where happiness is. That's where like a zest for life is. That's where true impact, influence, and freedom ultimately come from. Yes.
So pivoting a little from your business mind and talk, your family. I know that you have 3 children. How do you balance the busyness of not just 1, but 2 businesses that you're running, and balance that, have a positive vibe like you do? How do you bring it all together?
Well, I don't know that my kids and my family would always say I have a positive vibe, right? Because I think, when you carry responsibility, I haven't learned how to carry responsibility with a smile all the time. Like, I'm working on carrying that and carrying it with joy and ease. And my kids are older. My youngest is 10. My oldest is 16. And then a 14-year-old boy in the middle. And they're wonderful. They're magical. And they've also kind of grown up with mama having this business and these goals. And so, my business 8 years ago, so my oldest would have been 8 at the time. Those are still formative years. And so I'm a verbal processor, I'm a communicator. And so all the while, all these years of building this business, I've always been very articulate with my kids about what I'm doing, what I'm working on, and how they play into that. I've also always taught my kids that you are very important to me, but you're not the most important person in the world. And with that is an understanding that there are times when I may miss your game, your thing, because there's somebody else who needs me more in that moment, and so I don't know that I've always done it well, Susan, but I've done it the best of my ability. And I have kids today that I can run 2 businesses today because my kids are independent. I've required independence from them. They can feed themselves. Because, for me, personal fulfillment, like a happy mom is happy kids. And I've been a stay-at-home mom. I've been a homeschooling mom. I've been a career mom, and I've been a work-from-home mom. I've been all the moms. And I have never been more happy, healthy, and alive than I have doing my thing, stretching for my goals. And so, like this door here is closed a lot of the day, but I could be in an office and I'd be away from, I could be away. And so, my kids have access to me, but they also are getting like this real-time experience, this childhood that's really centered around what it means to find out who you are and what your role is on this planet. So they're super fun. They're amazing. We bought a second home in the mountains of Idaho last year. And little did I know when we bought it, just how instrumental that it would be to not only my ability to breathe for a minute, but for our family coming together. So this summer, we're up there more often than we are down here. We're up there 4 to 5 days a week. And there's not much to do. The grocery store is 10 minutes away. And we spend a lot of time together.
It's nice.
We spend, my husband works at home too. So we live and work and raise at home. It gets to be much sometimes because it's hard to find separation between work and home because it's all one. But having this cabin space, this place that we run off to, that is really the space that we reconnect, that we, find just lightness, togetherness. And it's become a real big part of our family dynamic.
That's great. And probably let you disconnect from all of this, social media and all of that.
Yes.
Well, if you could tell our friends just one tidbit in all of your knowledge, what would you tell them their takeaway should be?
Oh my gosh, the pressure of the pressure of one thing. What comes to mind to me is I remember being a new mom, and I had gone to this retreat, this women's retreat, and I'd never done anything like that. And it was for a shy introvert, putting yourself in sleeping situation with 20 other women that you don't know. But I was young, and this woman that ran it was this older woman, just had this without even touching you, you feel like this warm embrace that. She was just a warm embrace the minute she walked in the room. And I'll never forget what she said to me. And it resonated so powerfully then, and it continues to now. And she said, "All you are is good enough." All you are is good enough. We spend a lot of time check marking, tally marks of all the ways that we're failing. We lay in bed at night. I didn't do this. I didn't do this. Oh my gosh, I forgot this. We spend our life making lists of our failures. What I've learned is you actually get to choose to make a different list. And if I'm operating under the belief that all I am in this moment is good enough, and good enough is the expectation, then you can start to make that list of all the ways you actually are killing it at life. You actually are nailing it. You actually are good enough, in your right place, perfect in every way. And that's the list Like if I could corral all of the women in the world and just help them operate off a different list, like my job would be done.